Pope Benedict's mission intention, like his general prayer intention this month, is tough. He addresses a problem that has divided our nation and our world, the problem of immigration. Specifically, Pope Benedict is asking us to pray with him that the Church may be a home for all people in need, opening its doors to any who suffer from racial or religious discrimination, hunger, or wars that force them to emigrate from their own countries. In his 2006 message for the World Day of Migrants and Refugees, Pope Benedict said that there is, in his words, a tendency to stop at the question of their arrival, while disregarding the reasons for why they left their native land. Pope Benedict is alluding to the fact that in most cases, people don't want to leave their homes, but are forced to do so because of persecution or war or economic factors that make it difficult for them to support themselves and their families. How are we to respond to them? The Holy Father continued in his 2006 message with these words: "The Church sees this entire world of suffering and violence through the eyes of Jesus, who was moved with pity at the sight of the crowds wandering as sheep without a shepherd. Hope, courage, love, and creativity in charity must inspire the necessary human and Christian efforts made to help these brothers and sisters in their suffering." Pope Benedict isn't saying that solving the crisis of immigration is simply about caring for those in need. He's very clear that we need to address the root causes behind immigration. And in his third encyclical, Charity in Truth, he challenged all of us, recognizing both the rights of nations to have secure borders and the rights of individual persons who have a sacred human dignity, a right to life. Here's how the Holy Father put it in number 62 of his encyclical. Speaking about migration, he said, quote, "This is a striking phenomenon because of the sheer numbers of people involved, the social, economic, political, cultural, and religious problems it raises, and the dramatic challenges it poses to nations and the international community. We can say that we are facing a social phenomenon of epoch-making proportions that requires bold, forward-looking policies of international cooperation if it is to be handled effectively. Such policies should set out from close collaboration between the migrants' countries of origin and their countries of destination. It should be accompanied by adequate international norms able to coordinate different legislative systems with a view to safeguarding the needs and rights of individual migrants and their families, and, at the same time, those of the host countries. No country can be expected to address today's problems of migration by itself. We are all witnesses of the burden of suffering, the dislocation, and the aspirations that accompany the flow of migrants. Every migrant is a human person who, as such, possesses fundamental, inalienable rights that must be respected by everyone and in every circumstance." End quote. Those are challenging words for us individually and for our nation. They challenge us to view migrants not as problems, but as persons made in God's image and likeness. Strangers whom Jesus said he identified with when he said in Matthew 25 that the strangers who are welcomed or rejected are really he himself who's being welcomed or rejected. Our nation may not be able to be a permanent home for everyone who wants to emigrate here, but our Church must always and everywhere welcome and help our brothers and sisters who come to us in need. This is what the Holy Father is praying for this month, and this is what he asks us to open our hearts to and to add our prayers. But how is this a mission intention? What does this have to do with the work of evangelization or spreading the gospel? Very simply, since the gospel of Jesus Christ is the good news of God's love, of how the Son of God loved sinners who did not deserve such love, so we, the church, the body of Christ, are called to witness to this self-sacrificing love. As God was hospitable in creating us to share his love and his home, heaven, so we are called to hospitality. The world did not show hospitality to God's own Son. There was no room for Jesus in any suitable place in Bethlehem, and in the end, he was treated like a problem to be gotten rid of, rejected, and crucified. He calls us now to welcome him in our suffering brothers and sisters who are seeking help, even far from their homes. As the beginning of chapter 13 of the letter to the Hebrews says, "Let mutual love continue. Do not neglect hospitality, for through it some have unknowingly entertained angels." And we might add, not just angels, but Christ himself, present in the least of his brothers and sisters.